Welcome to NFL World, where NFL starts and ends. I'm your host, Jacob. And before we preview week 2 with our score predictions or anything like that, talk about the news. Let's go to San Francisco and talk about the San Francisco 49ers, who suffered a lot of injuries in that win against Seattle, by the way. George Kittle being the biggest name, followed by Brock Purdy. Let's begin with Kittle. Kittle suffered an injured hamstring that's going to sideline him for 3 to 5 weeks. He was placed on injured reserves or he'll miss 4 games. Brock Purdy, on the other hand, suffered a toe and shoulder injuries. So 2 injuries. He's considered a long shot to play, so expect Mac Jones to get the start. Who has the experience, Jones does, has the experience, just does not have a great track record with those starts, especially when he was in New England. So you brought him in to mostly just be the backup. Now he has to play for you. It's why you do it, but you hope his experience, his leadership will help this team to victory. Next up, we have another injury about for the 49ers, Jawan Jennings, who suffered a shoulder injury. He could go week 2. We'll see if he does. They are decimated at wide receiver. They need him to go. They need him to play. So we'll see what happens. Now, let's head to Kansas City and talk about Xavier Worthy. Worthy suffered a dislocated shoulder in which he's going to miss a few games. They didn't put him on IR. They did not put him on IR. They are saying, no, we think he'll be back for 4 weeks' time. Okay. But it does also have to be asked, who is going to be wide receiver 2? You have Hollywood Brown. Is it Taekwon? Is it Orton? Is it Juju? How are they going to do this? Are they going to try to have more of the run game? Like, what's going to happen? Because we said on Tuesday, we said that the likelihood of this team trying to say, Mahomes, save us. Mahomes, we need you. Patrick, save us. Over and over again. And how I feared that that could happen in the 2025 season. If they ask him to do it, I don't know if he can. They have a tough matchup against the Eagles. It's a Super Bowl rematch. They got to find a way to make it less difficult on Mahomes and easier on that defense as well. Now, Travis Hunter, as we go down to Jacksonville, Travis Hunter is expected to play more on defense as that role is expected to increase. That's what was the term increase is in quotations. He plays Cincinnati. He played most of wide receiver in the first game of the season. Played a couple snaps on defense. To quickly explain what he was doing, he was in zone coverage. So he's not expected to follow his man. He's just got to stay in his area. So that's the reason why he wasn't following him. And in zone, you do want them to catch the football, but you don't want them to get any more yards. You don't want anyone to catch the football. But when you're in zone, you're just trying not to get beat over top. That's all you're trying to do. You're just trying to make sure no one picks up a first down on you or gets more. That's all you're trying to do. That's what zone coverage is. You had another big move that happened. Let's go to Philadelphia now with the addition of the Eagles signing Za'Darius Smith. Za'Darius Smith was signed mostly because when they played the Cowboys, they could not get pressure. The Eagles could not get pressure. So they signed him. And he's going to help not just in the pass rush, but in the run game too. He's actually a really good run defender. And I was surprised that he was available into September. Because I was like, there's no way. There's a lot of those guys, like Justin Simmons is another one. Stephon Gilmore is another one. of those guys who are available as we're in the month of September. It just surprises me. They truly did show, the Eagles did, they truly showed that making your team better in free agency trades or anything is a 365-day job. It's a 24-hour job. You got to make your team better. And that's what they did. Now, let's talk Cowboys. Let's go down to Dallas, Texas before we begin with the predictions. Two big keys for the Cowboys. One, they have shown interest in Clowney, who played with the Panthers last year, was with Baltimore before that. He's not a sack. Let's not say he's going to get you 15 sacks. That's not the plan. He's going to get you sacks. He can. He's Baltimore. He had 9.5. He had 5.5 with Carolina. But he will give you a dominant edge presence in terms of defending the run, which is something you do need. I've said that for years. You couldn't stop the runs to the left tackle side, to the right hand side. You couldn't stop them. With adding Jadeveon Clowney, you would be able to do that, and it would help out guys like Dante Fowler, Sam Williams, and those guys like that. The other little bit of news here is DaRon Bland, who suffered a sprained foot on Monday. This was announced on Wednesday. I was a little angry that because that's something that if you would have done it, a little angry because if you had announced, yeah, he got injured on Monday, we'll bring people on Tuesday to do a workout and see if we could sign somebody. But they didn't do that. They waited till Wednesday night. So now you have 4 days to figure out if a guy can play for you. And that's what you're betting on. My guess is they say, well, we're playing this team. We think we'll be fine if we just bring someone up from the practice squad in the meantime. Because we think he's only going to miss 2 weeks. So there's no reason to sign something. But to me, he had an injury on a different foot, not this foot that he sprained, but on a different foot that he missed quite a bit of time last year. Now he's not out there. Now you're betting on Kaiir Elam and Trayvon Diggs, who Trayvon Diggs did not play all the snaps against Philadelphia. He played 27 snaps. Now you're going to ask him to play all the snaps that he can play because you don't have anybody else. And then you don't have a slot corner. So you're either bringing up Zion Childress, who was a UDFA this year, who, yes, he played very well, but he's a UDFA for a reason. Or you're bringing somebody in and hoping that he can pick up the scheme like that. It's not great. It's not great at all. The injury wasn't just a problem beforehand. Now you don't have a guy who's a slot. You have nobody. Because you cut the one guy behind him that could do it. So you're betting on either doing, hang on, you're betting on one guy in DaRon Bland, who's now injured. The guy you brought back in Israel McCormick, you cut. So let's first begin with the Cleveland Browns at the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens, it doesn't actually have it here, but the Ravens are favored in this game by about 11.5. That just shows how much faith they have in the Browns. It's not pretty. But let's talk about the Ravens first. The Ravens suffered a brutal loss to the Buffalo Bills. They did not play well in the fourth quarter. There needs to be a better performance from the Ravens, especially in that fourth quarter. Your offense put up 40 points a game in that game, and yet your defense could not stop them. I know they were tired, but they got to be better. They really have to be better. And for the Browns, you almost doubled their yardage against the Cincinnati Bengals 2-1. You stopped the run attack. Joe Burrow did not look comfortable, and yet you still lost the game. Your offense has to be better. You cannot afford that kind of showing, especially on your special teams side. You cannot afford that kind of showing. You have to be way better than that. You cut your kicker you've had for a couple years because you bet on this young guy, and he missed 2 big kicks. That cannot happen to you. So I have the Ravens winning. They bounce back, but I don't have the Cleveland Browns going away easily. I think the Ravens win this game, but I got the score going 28-17 Ravens. Now, let's go to Giants at Cowboys. Both of these teams are 0-1. Let's start out with the Giants, who had an awful week 1 game against the Commanders. Their offense was bad. Their defense was not much better. They couldn't do anything. Like, Russell Wilson did not look comfortable. No, he didn't turn the ball over, but he fumbled and recovered it, but he just was not good. The offensive line was not good. The run game was not good. But Scatterboo had a nice couple plays, but that was it. When you have Scatterboo who had the best play, and there were like 2 of them, and that was it. That's not good. Malik Neighbors was frustrated. He wasn't getting the ball. They ran. I can tell you how bad this was getting. They got into the red zone for the first time, and the first play they tried to run was a tackle eligible play. What? You do that mostly when you're trying to. You're like, yeah, we don't care what you think. We're just gonna do it anyway. So if either Brian Dable was actually trying to do that, or he had no faith in the guys he had, but it makes no sense. It just doesn't. They were awful in the red zone. They were awful on third down. Russell Wilson looked terrible. They dropped so many passes. So many of the balls were low that were dropped. Their defense, they did get pressure. The defensive line got pressure. Their cornerbacks were not very good. They gave up a lot of passing yards, like we said before. They were not good. They need to be way better, especially when you have a team like the Cowboys, who, yes, CeeDee Lamb had a couple drops, but he had over 100 yards. George Pickens only had 3 catches for 30 yards, but like I think, will get more involved as the season goes along here, and as he and Dak start building up this chemistry. And Dak, even though his numbers don't look perfect, they didn't look good. The eye test tells you completely different. You watch the game, you saw, holy cow, he's actually putting the ball in the right spot. His receivers aren't rewarding him, and they showed that they could run the ball. What I do if I'm the Giants, put Dexter Lawrence on the rookie Tyler Booker and see if he can win that matchup. Because if he can't, that's your best interior pass rusher. You should win that matchup. If he doesn't, that's a problem too. Now, going to the Cowboys side of it, you have to do one thing if you're the Cowboys. And that means you got to stomp the Giants. You got to be really good. You got to start up fast like you did against Philadelphia. You got to be able to run the football. You got to be able to pass protect. You got to give Dak Prescott time to survey the field. You got to let Dak feel a little bit and let him get the ball to CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. You got to be able to do that because it's going to make his life a lot easier, and it's going to make a defensive life a lot easier, which they'll play better if the offense can just find a way to be more efficient. That's all they got to be. They were efficient last week. They just got to continue to be efficient. They be efficient. This Cowboys team should win this game against the Giants. And defensively, you should be able to get more pressure because you're not facing Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson. Andrew Thomas is banged up with a foot injury. He didn't play last week. There's a chance he doesn't play this week, but it goes down to the wire pretty much every week. We'll see if he plays or doesn't, but if it's not, it's Jordan Hudson. You should win a lot more of those pass rushes. You should. I expect Dante Fowler and those guys to have a big game. They got to find a way to sack Russell Wilson, which he's easier to sack over Jalen Hurts, but he does make some miracle plays at times. You got to bring him down. You got to be better against the run defense if you're the edges. There's too many times they got into the backfield and did not make the play in the beginning. In the beginning of that game against Philadelphia, they got to be better on that. Again, we talked about DaRon Bland's injury. They have to find a way, Cowboys do, in the cornerback room to make some plays. Darius Slayton was not he was playing last week, but he didn't do anything. You should have that level of impact. Whether it's Trayvon Diggs, Kyrie Elam, you should have that level of impact. Malik Neighbors should be fine. He'll be ready to go. Don't worry about him. You have to find a way to slow Neighbors down. Defense you had against Philadelphia, we only gave up about 3 yards to carry. That's good. Do that. It forces teams to get away from the run game. If they can't run the ball against you, it forces teams to get away from it. That's what you want. The Cowboys for years would score so many points that you had to get away from the run game. But if you could stop the run and force a team to pass from that way, because they can't run the ball, that's what's going to make you a much better defense. I have the Cowboys winning this game. It's going to be a good game, I think, for the Cowboys side. 28-6 Cowboys. Because I just don't see the Giants offense doing anything. Next up, Bears at Lions. Both of these teams are 0-1. Lions, let's start with them. They were bad. Jared Goff did not look good. They couldn't run the ball. The offensive line didn't play good. The defense, which was the best part of that team, was all right, but they gave up a lot of points too. Like, I'm more concerned about the offense than I am on the defense. You know how last week we said, on Tuesday we had said, when you have a new defense coordinator, he won't call the plays the same way the other guy did, even though they were on the same staff. Same thing goes for the offense. And it looked like they missed Ben Johnson a lot. They couldn't do the things that he wanted to do. They couldn't play it the way he wanted to play it. There was games, or the part of the game where you just said, what is Jared Goff doing? He didn't look good. That run game looked bad. There's no way David Montgomery should have under 40 yards rushing. There's no way that should happen. That offensive line should not get beaten to a pulp by a Packers defensive line that doesn't have TJ Slayton and Kenny Clark anymore. There's no way that should happen. But it was. They were not good. The Lions' offensive line was not good. Nothing on offense was good. You gotta be better. And for the Bears, they started out great against the Vikings. They were good. Their offense was good. Their defense was good to begin. And then everything just died. The offense died for like 2 quarters, or a quarter and a half, I should say. They just couldn't move the ball. Caleb didn't look good in the second half. That run game wasn't moving the ball at all. It let the Vikings back into the game, and that's never something you want. And to the point that the Vikings were winning the game. Randy Moss was on in the fourth quarter of the Manning cast, and while he was on, the Vikings scored 3 touchdowns. It was an unbelievable performance at the end by J.J. McCarthy, who didn't play good to begin, but all of a sudden now he's playing really good. They were able to run the ball, even though I think Aaron Jones should have had more touches, more yards, but that's me. They did a lot of good things. And then at the end of the game, the Vikings ended up winning because the Bears, they drove down the field. They ended up scoring a touchdown. It took them so long to score that they had to kick it. They weren't going to get the onside. So they tried to kick it deep to keep the 2-minute warning. And they eventually get the ball back, but they only had like about 15 seconds, 20 seconds to do anything. They were not able to do anything. So Bears did what the Bears do, which is not good enough. So I'm gonna have the Lions win this game, but I do think it's a close game. 24-17 is my score. Now, let's go to Miami and talk the New England Patriots at the Miami Dolphins. Again, both these teams are 0-1. Both these teams also played terrible football. The Patriots, Drake May threw a bad interception in the second half. Not great. But that run game has to be your leading rusher cannot have 27 yards. It can't happen. They've got to be way better. Your offensive line has to be way better. Your defense had some good moments, but has to be more consistent. Gino had 300 yards. He did throw a pick, but he had 300 yards. He had a big time touchdown. Their run game was not good, so that's something you got that went in your favor. You were able to stop Genty, but you got to be way better. You have to be better, and they went better in the pass defense. So they gotta fix that. Offensively, like I said, they gotta be better in the run game, and Drake May has to be more patient at times. He just has to be more patient. But the offensive line has to play better too. That all is wrapped together. For the Dolphins, they couldn't do anything. They turned the ball over 2 times early in the game. Daniel Jones was playing lights out, and they made Daniel Jones look like he was Danny Marino over there, or Andrew Luck, or Peyton Manning, or whoever insert quarterback here that was even good. Like those are bad. That's something that can't be fixed right away. Their defense did not look good. The offense was not looking good. They ended up putting Zach Wilson in at the end of the game. You let Daniel Jones and the Colts score 33 points. 33 points. That's insane. That is crazy. That made no sense. Now, I do think you have more of an advantage over the Patriots because of your speed. But you gotta be better. You cannot have Tyreek Hill or any player crashing out because your team isn't doing good for that to happen. You cannot afford for Tua to turn the ball over the way he was. You cannot afford for him to get sacked as much as he was. You cannot afford that defense to give up as many yards as they did against the Colts, both running and passing. You cannot afford for that to happen. Having said all that, I do think the Dolphins win the game because the Patriots are just not good in Miami for whatever reason. So give me the Dolphins to win, but it will be a close game, 28-17. I think we'll see mass improvement from both teams, but especially the New England Patriots. Now, let's go to MetLife Stadium where the Buffalo Bills are at the New York Jets. The Bills coming off a great win, great comeback win against the Baltimore Ravens, showing that Josh Allen deserved the MVP. And you have the Jets, who also had a great showing. They just didn't pull it off in the end against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's start off with the Bills. Bills' offense looked great in the fourth quarter of that game. They stalled out a little bit. But they were able to get it back going. That's good. They were good in the end game situations. That's positive, and that's the reason they won the game. They were better in those end game situations than the Ravens were. And the Jets, that's something they need to be better at too. They gotta find a way to be better in those end game situations. Keon Coleman played great. James Cook played good. Josh Allen played amazing. That defense was good at the end of that game. There's a lot of positive things you can take away from the Buffalo Bills in that game. Also, to beat the Ravens week 1, that will help you in the playoffs. Now you're at the Jets, who this was a team, I don't even remember the last time they scored 30 points in a week 1 game. Whoever is watching this video, Look that up and then put it down in the comments so I actually know, because I have no idea. They were good. Justin Fields looked good. Breece Hall had over 100 yards. Those were positive things. They did a lot of good things. They just didn't win it at the end, which defensively, there is a problem. If you're giving up 30 plus points to the Steelers offense, that's not good either. And Aaron Rodgers had 4 touchdown passes. He looked like he went back to 2011, 2014. Those things aren't good. You have to be better than that. So let's talk the prediction. I got the Bills winning this game. I think it'll be a great game to watch. But I got the Bills winning 38-31. But I do think Justin Fields plays well again. I'm just more concerned about this defense than anything else. And final game we have here is the Philadelphia Eagles at the Kansas City Chiefs. This game is going to be really interesting. Let's start with the Jalen Carter situation. Carter incident that happened against Dak Prescott, but the Eagles and Cowboys situation, I should say, on Thursday Night Football at the beginning of the year has been resolved, at least in the NFL's mind. They said they were going to fine Jalen Carter a whole game check and not going to suspend him because they felt when he got ejected in the game was before really the game started. So therefore they said that counts as his 1-game suspension. So he can play in this game, which I don't agree with, but I can't tell the NFL what to do. I mean, I don't have that kind of power. But I do think the Eagles really need him, obviously. He's their best player. They missed him against the Cowboys. They really did. They got to go tell him, don't do that again. Because you know for the rest of the week, for all this week and the rest of the year, he's going to be pushed. His emotions are going to be tested against them every week because they're going to see if they can kick him out. They're going to try. They're going to try to entice him enough so he does something stupid and gets kicked out of the ball game, which would be a huge loss, as we saw. The Chiefs, on the other hand, have suffered a lot of huge losses too with their injuries. Rashid Rice was suspended. We all know this. Xavier Worthy, the dislocated shoulder, which he's going to miss some time. Their defense did not look good. They suffered that big game loss against the Chargers on Friday in Sao Paulo, Brazil. They need to find a way to get back on track. So this is going to be like in the Super Bowl rematch. This is going to be really interesting. The Eagles, I would be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, I should say. I would be surprised if the Eagles can't find a way to run the football in this game. They need to find a way to run this football. 60 yards to Saquon Barkley was not good enough. They need to be way better, more efficient on offense. They need to be able to get the ball to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. You cannot have those guys only have like 4 catches in between 4 catches and Jahan Dotson have 3. There's no way Jahan Dotson should have 3 catches and A.J. Brown should have 1 catch. There's no way. They won the game. They won the game. That's all that matters. But your number 1 wide receiver has to be more involved. He has to be. So they got to run the ball better. They got to get A.J. Brown more involved. And that's how they'll beat this Chiefs team. That's really how they'll do it. Because you saw the Chargers take it to the Chiefs by throwing the football, by running the football, and the Chiefs couldn't do anything about it. The Chargers did whatever they wanted, and the Chiefs couldn't stop them. If you're the Eagles, you want to get on track, do that. Because you won a game against the Cowboys. That's a divisional opponent. If you lose this game against the Chiefs because you can't figure out how to get A.J. Brown the ball, that's a problem. And about this Eagles defense, I'm concerned at that cornerback 2 spot right now. They don't know who it is. If it's Bennett, if it's Adoree Jackson, if it's this guy, if it's that guy, whoever it is, they gotta find a way to put him in that corner and just say, go for it. Because we gotta do something. We're not good enough right now. So that's where I would assume Patrick Mahomes tries to target as we move to the Chiefs. I like that. That was a decent segue, I should say. The Chiefs offense needs to be better. I know they have all these injuries. I don't know who the number 2 receiver is, whether it's Juju Smith-Schuster, whether it's Tyquan Thornton, whomever. They got to be better. They have too many receiver problems, whether they run the ball more, whether they get the ball to their tight ends more, whatever they got to do, they got to be better at it because this Eagles team is good. This Eagles team is really good. The Cowboys did show you can take it to them, but this Eagles team is really good. You need to be able to move the football. You cannot just go and say, Mahomes, save us from ourselves over and over again. You can't do that. You cannot make this game a Mahomes save us, make a magical play. That's not going to work. You need to be way better. Which is why I think at the end, the Eagles are going to win this game. And I don't know exactly what the score will be. So we're going to kind of pinpoint this. I have the Eagles winning 28-21. But I think there's going to be a lot of concerns for the Chiefs if they can't find a way to win this game. But let me know in the comments, who do you have winning this week? And also, what do you think about the NFL's decision for the Jalen Carter situation? For NFL World, I'm Jacob Peeper.